Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, and we have the new July season for Marvel Snap. Let's go. We got all the cards. It's new Fantastic Four cards. That's right. The Fantastic Four we have in the game will only be one version of Fantastic Four. The multiverse is officially coming to Marvel Snap. We've got MCU first steps versions of the Fantastic Four coming for the July season. And we have all the cards, even if we don't have their art. Let's kick it off. But first, if you'd like to win Captain Carter, this is one of your last chances to do so. All you have to do is sub, like, and comment. What specific comment to leave will be later this video. So if you do that, you are entered to win Captain Carter. If you'd like to win a free season pass card, we'll be kicking off on, I believe it is one of tomorrow's videos, our new season pass for Esme Cuckoo, next month's season pass card. But the season pass card for July is Mr. Fantastic. Mr. Fantastic First Steps to be exact. Since we don't have stats, I just used the key art from Marvel Studios for each card. Mr. Fantastic is a 2/3. Okay, what do you get for your $10 and or 6,000 tokens or whatever snap pack later? You get an end of turn, give a card in your hand +2 power to -1 cost. So, I'm not sure how I feel about this. I want to love this card. I'm not sure if I do. Um, it's possible we're still building toward that ever like almost good enough hand buff deck, and this is a piece in that, right? Like if you're playing a bunch of fours and you get that -1 cost on Galacta, all of a sudden this is a snap condition is completely amazing. But fairly often it's going to give a -1 to something that it doesn't really super matter for, or it's going to give +2 to something that's going to be nice, right? Is it going to hit your Brood, your Shaw enough, or is it going to hit something random? I don't know. To me, this basically immediately feels like a Surfer card because I can play this on turn 2 and not have, and then like just set it and forget it. I play it and I don't have to worry about it. That seems like it's really nice. Obviously, it's going to synergize with the other Fantastic Four. I guess not obviously, because teams don't always synergize. All the Fantastic Four synergize with each other, so he is going to synergize with the Fantastic Four. In particular, he works very, very well with the Human Torch. The Human Torch in hand getting +2 power will matter. We'll see when we get there. It's coming later in the month. We'll get to it. But for the time being, he comes out on July 8th. He's a seemingly good card because he's set and forget, but he does seem a little bit awkward. What I think he is to me is he's sort of answering the questions: what happens if you made Fastos a uh, two cost card? Because everyone's always like Fastos would be good at two. Fastos would be good at two. Well, Fastos hits every card in your deck. What happens if we hit one card in your hand every turn? Is that better? I, I'm not sure. It is two, and Fastos is a three. This makes sense for Fastos getting to 4 power in the latest OTA now, all of a sudden. This is going to be worth testing. And if it's not good enough because it's a season pass, we know they will make it better. Like if it's give a card in your hand +2 power and -1 cost, all of a sudden we're cooking with gas, right? But for the time being, I'm not sold on this. I think this looks like a weak season pass, especially as compared to Merlin and Esme Cuckoo, the next two season pass cards we have coming, but will be out before First Steps Mr. Fantastic. This is the list of the end of the turn cards in the game. We're going to refer to this at the beginning and end because the whole Fantastic Four are end of turn effects. So, well, three of the Fantastic Four, and then we've got other cards that will synergize with them. So we've got Mr. Fantastic, Thing, and Torch. We've got Adam Warlock, Atuma, Black Cat, Bruce Banner, 2099, Doom, Isan, Havoc, Hydra Bob, Makari, Marvel Boy, Red Hulk, Strange Supreme, Sunspot, Thunderbolt Ross, and Thena. Now, because end of turn effects are going to synergize, do any of these cards work especially well with Mr. Fantastic? Well, Adam Warlock would love to cost one less or get +2 power, but now you're playing it off curve in order to try and do that. So that's a little bit rough. Outside of that, do we really care about any of the rest of these? Uh, Makari likes the +2 power, but the -1 cost is totally lost. Hydra Bob is actually reasonably happy here if it fits into one of these decks. A 1/6 you'll take, or a 0/6 or a 0/4 you'll take perfectly happily. Um, Strange Supreme, if there's a way to do that. I don't know. And that's kind of it. None of the rest of this really, really matters here. None of the rest of this is going to be stuff that synergizes. So end of turn, if they want it to be a deck and not just a little package, is going to need some work. Let's see what the other cards do. The other new card, this would be what used to be called a Spotlight card. I haven't figured out what to call them yet. This will be the Series 5 card that comes out in week 1 with the Season Pass. It's Herby. It's technically all capitals with periods between each letter. It's an acronym. I don't care. Herby will be a Series 5, 6,000 tokens, which means you get him in snap packs or you get him with tokens. He is a 2/2, and he's got a really cool ability. Is he good? Not 100% yet, but very cool. Each turn this is in play, swap to a new activate until one is used. So the first one is double this card's power. Mr. Fantastic hits this, all of a sudden you've got a 2/8. That's reasonable. That's worth doing. There's also certain locations that are going to make this a pretty happy one, but most of the time this is kind of useless. A 2/2 becomes a 2/4. Whoop-de-damn do. Better activate, create a rock with 4 power here. That synergizes with Strange Supreme, so we now have our first Strange Supreme synergy here, right? While also just getting a 4 power rock. Now all of a sudden he's a 2/6. 2/6 is perfectly acceptable. It's actually a bit ahead of rate, so we're happy to have that. But then the last two are what you were looking for. Next turn you get +2 energy is huge. Just a Wiccan effect if you get lucky on the right turn is really great. And then activate, give your cards at adjacent locations +1 power. But if you can do that at the end of the game, after you've filled both of the locations, obviously you're going to want to play him middle, like old Mr. Fantastic. He can be a 2 that has 2 himself and gives 8 more power, 4 at each location, which is a 2/10. And then you could use things like Sebastian Shaw to make that even better. That seems like it's pretty good. I think this is a decent 2 drop. I don't know if it's like 2 is really competitive. Most of the best cards in the game are 2s, unless they're nerfed out of existence by then. I'm not sure this finds a home, but it's at least fun and interesting. I'm always happy when they do like Nico style cards. And it seems like most months, not every month, but most months they're trying to make a Nico and they're trying to make an Arisham. They don't want to break them like Nico and Arisham, right? But this month we got Infinity Ultron as our Arisham, right? Like they're trying to make a Nico or an Arisham or a both. They're trying to make a card that like does a bunch of different things and a bunch of different things in really interesting ways, and that is Herby here. So okay, I'm glad that they're making this as our like Nico card of the month. It's cool. I'm not sad to have it, even if I don't think it's going to be amazing. I think it can be very good. I'm just like I keep struggling to figure out what home I really really want for it. It's like because it's an activate, even if you get the ramp early, it's a 3 into 5. And then like the other activate wants to be on the last turn, but what are the odds you have it on the last turn? The double discard's power just doesn't seem great. I don't know. This seems clunkier than Nico, where a lot of the spells were just sort of good whenever you drew them, and she was 1, so it was easier to fit in. But again, cool card, even if it is semi without a place to be. Before we go any further, if you're willing to please hit that sub button if you're enjoying this content. We cover Marvel Snap more thoroughly than anyone. This is our second video today. If you check this very morning, we covered a bunch of decks for the new cards, the 4 new cards that came to Marvel Snap today. So if you are interested in that, please hit that sub, hit that like, hit that comment. It would really mean a lot as we try to hit 25,000 subs in 2025. This week, we are doing 11 Marvel Snap videos. We haven't missed a video in a day in well over 2 years. Hit that sub button. Our next card, and this is going to be the next 3 cards, are going to be our Series 4 releases. This is the Series 4s that just sort of come out on the first day of the season thing. We know that they're planning on doing that. They just sort of did it yesterday where they were like, here's 3 Series 4s on day 1, go. So technically they released it a week early to celebrate Snapbacks, but it's the same concept. So we know that we will be getting 3 Series 4s in July, and we know what they are thanks to the Datamines. Uh, by the way, all these stats and information so far has come from Marvel Snap Zone. We're going to get some of this information from Snap.fan later on. So huge props to those 2 sites. I also write for Marvel Snap Zone. Huge props to those 2 sites if you're interested in checking them out. Madinker is a Series 4, 3,000 tokens. Again, a beginning of the season drop. 1 cost, 1 power. At the start of each turn, gain +2 power if your hand is full after you draw. I don't know. It seems like this is likely to be a 1/5. That's pretty good, right? Like you should be able to fill your hand after a draw a couple times. If you throw him in Thanos, he could become significantly bigger. I don't know if this is worth the trouble because like okay, it's probably worth it in some versions of Thanos, right? Like if you're running a Strange Supreme Thanos, having another lane that has a 1/5 or a 1/7 in it just because you're playing your cards that Strange Supreme wants to eat is probably pretty solid. I keep wanting to see if this fits in like a Victoria Hand style deck or like an old Devil Dino style deck, and I can't quite get there. I can't quite get to where that works, but I do think this is probably a pretty decent Thanos card. So many cards are decent Thanos cards, that's why it's the best. I'm not in love with Madinker as a card here, but it is a very cool Marvel character that I'm super happy to have in the game. Next up, we have another vehicle joining the Quinjet and the Helicarrier. Is that the only 2? That might be the only 2. We have the Fantasticar. Fantasticar is another Series 4, 3,000 tokens. It is a 4/6. That's always an interesting cost slot, right? Because 4/6 means slightly below where you feel really great playing it, but not so bad that you like actually feel bad playing it. So you don't feel like it's a sort of neutral cost. This is activate, give your end of turn cards +2 power. The best current target for this is Makari. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Fantastic Four cards, but Makari is where you really want to land with this. Hydra Bob is pretty happy too. Look, any card is happy to get +2, but Hydra Bob is already ahead of rate, and turning it into a 1/6, potentially a 1/8 with Mr. Fantastic seems really good. Makari is also very, very happy with this because Makari is just going to put herself into play. And as we've seen with Surfer, getting a free 6 power is pretty good. Is that worth running a 4/6? Well, it depends what the other Fantastic Four do, so we'll get there. But this is still like, I'm happy to have this in the game. At some point, this becomes a very useful card, I think, even if it's not immediately. This is almost certainly, by the way, going to get activated toward the end of the game, which I also think is pretty damn cool. All right, next up we have Mullman, who is one of my favorite Marvel characters. I love Mullman. I think he's hilarious and kind of awesome and very underrated. He is our last Series 4 card releasing on 7/8. So on 7/8, we get 5 new cards coming out. I'm so excited for this new system. That's so cool. He is a 3 cost, 3 power. On reveal, banish the top card of your deck. Add 2 rocks to your hand to set the power of the set to the power of the banished card's cost. If you are running a high curve, I could easily see this being halfway decent. If you're running a fairly high curve deck, right, and this has a decent chance of hitting a 4 or more, I'll take 2 1/4s in hand, right? Like that's a 4 cost card. You probably don't want to discard your 6s. Your 6s usually want to play. That's kind of the point of them. But like a couple 1/6s make this really good. What you're really hoping to get, at least in my opinion, is a couple of 1/4 rocks. Like I could easily see this having some extra use in quite a few decks. Um, but those decks aren't meta, right? Like this isn't going to go in Surfer where everything costs 3, and then you get 2 extra 1/3s. That's not ideal. But if you're running a Patriot deck, I could see like you messing around with a couple 1/3s that you can turn into 1/5s. I don't know. This seems like it's gonna end up with a home, but that home's not gonna be in the meta. It's still a really, really cool card to get at the start of a season, and I'm so happy Mullman is finally a Marvel Snap. I really wish he did something with monsters instead of rocks. I know he lives underground, but he's like basically the king of all the underground monsters in Marvel, and I wish he had a better synergy with that. Although I guess the idea is that he's pulling something into the ground and leaving rocks behind, right? Leaving rock monsters behind. I can live with it. This is going to be a badass animation. Mullman is again not going to be great, but is going to be very, very fun, which has been the theme of this season so far, right? I don't think a card so far has been absolutely great, but everything here looks very fun and very interesting. So I'm not super sad to see that. Come check out twitch.tv/pulseglazer. I should be live literally right now, and if not, within a few minutes right after of this video going live. So if you have any interest in coming to check out this check me out on Twitch, now is an amazing time to do so. Please, please, please stop by and check it out. We're going to be testing some new decks for the new cards. Twitch.tv/pulseglazer. And our season pass question while we're here is, what is your favorite card that is datamined? Cool. What is your favorite of all the cards that we're data mining today that we're discussing? Which one do you like best? You're going to have to keep watching because we got quite a few more. Starting with the 7/15 release, a week after all of the big 5 card dump, is the Human Torch. The Human Torch is Human Torch First Steps is a 3/2. Ooh, that's terrible. End of turn +1 power. So if you play it on 3, it's already a 3/3. Once per game, if your side here is full, double this card's power instead. So your idea here is you play it on 3, it gets 1 on 3, 1 on 4, 1 on 5, and then it doubles that on 6, right? So it doubles that at the end of 6, excuse me. So it becomes a 3/5 that becomes a 3/10. Basically, as long as you can fill its lane. That can be a fairly big commitment, though. That it's not necessarily an easy thing to do. However, because it's doubles the power, right? If that lane is full, that means that you're going to get extra benefit from things like Forge, extra benefit from things like Galacta, any extra benefit from playing Surfer on 6, because this is an end turn. So if you had that 5 and then you Surfer, now you have a 7, now you have a 14. This feels like, at least according to Heart of the Cards, one of the best Surfer players in the world, a better Shaw for a lot of Surfer decks because it's a Shaw you can play on curve that's going to buff himself. I'm not quite as convinced on that. I think this card is probably decent. End of turn. It really, really, really loves getting that +2 buff from Mr. Fantastic. Obviously, this one really, really loves that potential +2 buff from the Fantastic car. All that stuff is really good. This one has some real potential. I'm not 1,000% sure this is all playable together, but I do think that this is going to be a potentially really, really good Surfer card, and it's possible that the Fantastic Four makes sense in a Surfer deck, which, if you've paid attention to the First Steps trailers, is a thing that makes a lot of sense and is pretty damn funny. So, Fantastic Four, Fantastic for being Surfer deck? Question mark. Perhaps. Also, we established Makari play patterns. Surfer has more buffs than anything. Perhaps we run this with Shaw. I don't know. I think there's something here because Shaw certainly loves Mr. Fantastic too, right? Perhaps there is something here. I think this is really cool. Again, we're looking basically, is there an end of turn deck or is it just a Surfer deck? And right now, I'm leaning toward it being a Surfer deck that honestly probably doesn't bother with the Fantastic Car. The Fantastic Car is not going to be good until we get like a critical mass of end of turn cards, I don't think. From there, we got Thing first steps. He is a 5/6, end of turn, +2 power. Once per game, if your side here is full, destroy an enemy card with lesser power. So if you play him on turn 5, he's going to be a 5/10 by the end of the game. Um, so he should become a 5/10 and then destroy an enemy card at that location with less than 10 power. Cool. You have to fill the location though. Again, playing a 10 power card in a location you want to fill just seems sort of like overkill fairly often. But this is a very cool card. I'm also just happy to play him as a 5/10, right? And if he doesn't do the destroy, a 5/10 that's Shang proof is a pretty good card. He's not going to trigger Surtur. He's not going to make your Scar cheaper. But I think like a 5 that has decent stats is pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a little buff before release. Not because I think he's bad, but because I think like I don't have a specific reason I super want to play him, right? Like there's nothing that calls to me for him unless the Fantastic Four deck works. And like if Fantastic Four, as I think, is going to be a more Surfer deck than a pure Fantastic Four deck, I'm not sure that he ends up being super great. I think he's interesting, and a 5/10 is good, but they want to make fives that have better stats, fives that are better, because 5 is often the cost spot that is skipped in Marvel Snap, and because of that, I can see Mr. Fantastic, sorry, The Thing, another one of my favorite Marvel characters. I love the Fantastic Four, going either way. Our final card is Invisible Woman, first steps. Um, this one seems great. 3/4, activate this turn. Your end of turn abilities happen twice. Even if that's just Human Torch for the doubling, you just won a lane, right? You can play him with your cheap crap and win a lane automatically. Um, but we have to look through all of the other stuff. Mr. Fantastic means you're going to have to do this earlier than turn 6, which royally sucks, unfortunately. Thing, for at the end of the game, if you can fill that lane, is pretty damn good because now Thing is destroying 2 cards and getting 4 power. That seems like it's really good. Uh, but that's not a ton of end of turn triggers, right? So Fantastic is happy if you do it earlier, but you don't but you want to use Torch and Thing last turn. So there's some counter synergy there for Invisible Woman. It seems like it's worth it for Torch at the end of the game. It doesn't especially seem like it's worth it for it seems like it might be worth it for the Thing as well. But now you needed to fill basically your whole board, which is again doable but not easy. Adam Warlock seems really, really interesting with this, right? As again, in the Mr. Fantastic vein, where you sort of play this on curve and use it around turn 4. If you can do a Mr. Fantastic Adam Warlock, you're giving -1 cost and +2 power to or -1 cost or +2 power to 2 cards, and you're drawing 2 cards. That seems decent. Atum is garbage here. Black Cat's garbage here. Banner, an extra chance to Hulk out, seems at least worth looking into. Do I think Banner's going to be good here? No, I don't think Banner's good, but it seems worth looking into. Doom 2099 might really love this. If you can get this out early and activate it, you get an extra Doom bot. Doom 2099 is very happy to have that. Pulling an extra card with Isan, who cares? Havoc can be okay here, but you're not running Havoc in these decks. Hydra Bob's end of turn trigger doesn't matter. Makari's end of turn trigger doesn't matter. Marvel Boy to get an extra +3 power is at least interesting. I don't think there's a home for it because I don't think it synergizes with anything else this does, but fine. An extra 3 for Red Hulk is fine, but like I don't think of this as Red Hulk stuff. Strange Supreme is pretty happy here. If you get to eat and merge an extra card, that's an extra +2 power. I can see it finding a home there. Sunspot, eating that extra energy twice seems pretty good, assuming that's how it works. Thunderbolt Ross, useless. Thena, pretty good. So I don't think the problem is I don't think there's any synergy here, right? I don't think any of these cards really go together. So while I do think eventually Invisible Woman, if they push this theme, will be a completely insane card, I'm not sure that happens yet. I think she's more of a drop-in if you're trying to run a Fantastic Four theme deck, or if you're doing some Strange Supreme stuff. I don't, or Doom, maybe Doom 2089, but that deck is kind of dead. They'd have to buff it. So as the case is, I don't think that Invisible Woman is going to be anything special right now. But if I'm running Makari and Torch and Surfer, we might be talking about a different thing now, right? Like if I'm running Makari, Torch, and Invisible Woman and Surfer, who is also a 3. Now I've got Makari, Torch, Surfer as extra 3s, and we're starting to look like this might be a deck because we're also probably running Mr. Fantastic, right? And then if I don't see Torch, I can trigger her to get that extra benefit on Mr. Fantastic and take an extra shot at hitting another important card or whatever the case may be along those lines. And I think that might have enough value to give her use. But I do think Fantastic Four right now looks large, like it either needs a buff or is largely a bunch of Surfer decks. Next up, we have a new mode. This is Champion Arena. This seems like it's coming July 25th, according to Marvel Snap Zone. Snap Fan had the big breakdown on it. This appears to be a new mode that has powerful versions of specific cards, and specific cards have a champion version that come with extra skills for each champion. We don't know how this would work. My guess is you play the card, you get the skill. Oh no, you play this card, you get the skill in hand because they have costs, right? So Mr. Fantastic is awesome. It's a 3 cost on reveal. Give all your ongoing cards ever a -1 cost. Awesome if you run an ongoing deck, like a ongoing set, like a permanent Sarah buff. Seems good. Invisible Woman is on reveal. Next turn, you get +1 energy for each of your unrevealed cards. That costs 2, and obviously you'll be playing that with the old Invisible Woman, not the new one. Same thing for Mr. Fantastic. That one goes with the old Mr. Fantastic, not the new one. Worth knowing. The Human Torch first steps is add Human Torch's power to the next card you play. That works with either Human Torch, but is obviously much better with the insanely good move one. Thing first steps, move the thing to this location. He can repeat his destroy ability this game. Okay, so that one obviously works with the first steps. So we have a change here. There is no destroy ability. Oh, this is some of these say specifically first steps, right? Mr. Fantastic Invisible Woman are for base, and Torch and Thing are for the first steps versions. I think that's really cool. Okay, so they split it. So this one, so you can't do the stupid broken move Human Torch thing. That's pretty good. So the thing one does repeat the destroy, which is again really good, but you have to still fill that location, which is not the easiest thing to do, especially if you're playing skills. Although we'll see what energy looks like in the mode. Herby's champion cost 1 on reveal, execute 2 random protocols. Okay, that seems cool for 1 cost. I'll take it. Um, Doom champion on reveal, replace all cards you played this turn with Doombots is hilarious, and I love it. Um, Again, well, because it's Doctor Doom, it means that these have to be put in hand at deck or deck at start of game. It means it can't be you play them because if you play Doom on turn 6, you're not going to be able to play a thing with him. Good to know. So Doom champion replace all cards you played this turn with Doombots, which means like if you draw it, you can play some cheaper stuff. And then all of a sudden you have Doombots, which seems pretty good with Doom 2099, but you don't want to play multiple cards with Doom 2099. So blah, blah, blah. Mullman cost 1 on reveal. Give a created card in your hand +3 power and create another copy of it. That seems really cool, and I wish that was just Mullman's ability. Um, and then Carnage of all cards, maximum Carnage. Move Carnage to this location, then repeat his unreveal. That seems pretty cool for free. I'll take a second destroy for free. All right, so credits to SnapFan for this set of information. There are new cards mentioned. They are First Steps Galactus, Terrax, Stardust, the Fallen One, Redshift, Airwalker, and Firelord, along with Cosmic Ghost Rider. So 2 through 7 here. I don't actually know anything about Cosmic Ghost Rider. Sorry. I think Cosmic Ghost Rider might be a Herald, but I'm not sure. I didn't read whatever comic that was. I think it might actually be called Cosmic Ghost Rider, but whatever. I didn't read it. The rest are Heralds of Galactus. And it looks like August might be a Heralds of Galactus season, and we might be getting a First Steps Galactus. Holy shit, a second Galactus Marvel Snap sounds incredible. Cosmic Marvel is some of my favorite stuff. It's part of why I like the Fantastic Four, because they're like where the Earth Marvel meets the Cosmic Marvel. But Cosmic Marvel is some of my favorite stuff. I love Annihilation. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy, Abnett and Lanning stuff. This is going to be one of my favorite seasons. They always kill. August is my birth month. Last August was the New Avengers season. Sorry, the Young Avengers season. And Young Avengers is one of my favorite comics ever. If they go from there into like Heralds of Galactus, they just celebrate my birthday so well. Cool. All right, we have very few variants data mined, but we're going to end this video by going over which variants are data mined today. We've got Agent Venom, Victoria Hand, and Hitmonkey. These are 3 of my favorite variants that are coming out. I really, really, really like this Agent Venom. Do I like it more than the one we got from the season pass? Probably not, but it's close. I don't usually like realistic art, but this one looks incredibly cool. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe for any old heads out there. I'm very hyped. This Victoria Hand immediately becomes the best Victoria Hand in the game, and I will use it, and I'll be happy. This Hitmonkey is hilarious. I'm not sure if I'm using this Hitmonkey or not because I really like the one where he's jumping on the guy's face with the spirally background. But the knife coming out of the banana is amazing, and I would bet almost anything that this one looks absolutely wild animated, and I really, really, really want this card. Um, yeah, I love Hitmonkey. One of my favorite cards in the game. The other three we're going to talk about are Sasquatch because I'm using the ugly Spotlight Sasquatch that was recent as my only Sasquatch variant. This one looks amazing and I want it and gimme. This one looks actually like a Yeti. It looks terrifying. I'm for it. This is one of the better Spider-Mans in the game, him swinging around with the plane overhead. This is from the Penny Arcade bundle that will be coming, so make sure you stick around for that. Also, if you're wondering about you might not know this, but PAX has special cards and special packs, the exclusives from PAX. We are going to do our very best to do some PAX giveaways. We're going to do most of those giveaways on our Patreon, so make sure you're on our Patreon, but we're going to do some on the videos too, and some on Twitch too, so make sure you're around for that. And then Mysterio is finally getting a variant that has tokens. This isn't my favorite Mysterio. This feels a little too MCU-y for me, but I'll play the crap out of Mysterio where its tokens are the actual variants. So yeah, love this Mysterio. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. Please check out patreon.com/snapjudgments. If you're going to click off this video, as I'm about to read a bunch of names, reminder that I'm live on Twitch right now, twitch.tv/pulseglazer. All right, Bricks to Click is our patron of the month. Thank you to Abigail Gieslin, Mandatory Burnout, Irregardless, LAB, Inc., I Am Frostman, Hota Navarrete, Thinking Poker, Primed Ryan, Ryan Burke, and Ryan Wood, Heretics Lee, Koirei, Kazushi, Archangel 3K, Black Dahlia, Perofrost, The Goat Seeker, Code, Hollowed, Only Fox, Synth, Fat Nick, Absolute Shannon, Nightmare, Dirty Casual, Mr. Kerfuffle, Cables, Ginger Prime, Philip Rakovich, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, The Bizza, Black Jeebus 23, Extra Sweet, and Skippy G, Back to Friends, Rhyming Friends, Jessica Gamble, Sup Jess, Mr. Slush at the King of Bros, Bro, The Great Gazoo, Werewolf, Kevsey Hoda, Luna, Ludacris, Clam, Colonel Foreman, Rob Silverman, M. Holland, David G. Wingfield, Stephen, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B., Mr. Craig Sterry, Matt V., Runrunch, Corwin Junkie, and Jim McHugh, Gist Out, Ace Age, One Big Man, Milkman for Reals, Cactus, Jack, Reapster, BG, Quitbro, Joe, Snap to Scissors, Joe, D. Carlo, Miles Monster Supreme, Boom Bot, Bickety Boom Bot, Green Goblin, Yona Bot, Flan, 56, Lee, Fuzzing Up, Spectrumix, Hoot, Ocularis, Matt H. DJ Mike Agix, No Freaking Flex, Nick the Greek Geek, Toxic Soul King, Zodrex, the King of Canada, Deadman Falcon, Fafler Newman, Jonesy, Two Tides, the Raven Letters, the Pirate King Tucker, and of course, Gunny T, where the T stands for come watch me on Twitch right now. I'll see you there. Much love. Peace.